Hi, my name is Melissa T. Ellison, and today we're going to talk about education in Arizona, helping ELL learners thrive. This is what we're going to be going over: the definition, the demographic and home language, what the structured English immersion, how it's used in Arizona, development approach, the four principles, the research found in ELS, all these we're just going to go over as a whole. Definition of an English language learner is the general of it is a student who is unable to communicate fluently or learn effectively in English. English learners are limited English proficient, which means a child who does not speak English or whose native language is not English, or a child who cannot perform tasks in the classroom in English. That is an English learner or a limited English proficient learner. The demographics, 7% of Arizona students are English language learners. As you can see in the graph, almost 733% are Spanish speaking, but only 17% of these students speaking English at home. Part of this is we look at the geographical placement. Arizona is close to Mexican border, which is why most of the population speaks Spanish. We also have Navajo and many other languages as well that Arizona has to service in order for these students to succeed. If we look at the grade level, which may be different today, but in 2017, children in kindergarten receiving these needs were at 16%. And by 12th grade, you only see it at 1%, needing the English learner services. I believe it is because the earlier you help these children, the better chance you have to receive a better education, which in turn helps them be able to succeed and to not need the help by the time they graduate. The structured English immersion. Azalea, or the Arizona English Language Learner Assessment. This test is given to students K through 12th grade. This test consists of subtests in listening, speaking, reading, and total writing. Writing convictions and writing combined. There is also an oral language score, which is combined with listening and speaking subtest scores, and a comprehension score, which takes listening and reading subtest scores and combines them. Sub-level scores for grouping purposes are oral, language, reading, and total writing. The second one was English language development. It's teaching English skills to students who are in the process of learning English. This focuses on how the words phonetically sound and how to pronounce them, and morphologically, which is the structure and forms of words. It also focuses on syntax, which applies in the word order rules. They also help with lexicon, which is the vocabulary of the word, and systematics, which is how to use English in different situations and contexts. This process leads into the next point, which is PLOT, or primary home language other than English. This is determined by the Home Language Survey. The results of this survey determine how they place you for English development. Fifth one is the structured immersion classroom. It's a classroom for children who are limited in their English. The purpose is that the children receive 4 hours of English language and instruction. The last but not least, structured English immersion program. This is more an intensive language program for non-proficient speakers. It's designed to accelerate the English learning process. Structured English immersion components. We have policy, which is broken down into 3 parts. Arizona requires all teaching to be done in English. Arizona law requires all the learners to be grouped into an English immersion setting. Arizona requires that materials or subject matter are to be prepared and taught in English. The content is a minimum of 4 hours daily of English language development. This instruction as its orientation and teaching language skills to students who are learning English. For B, the Arizona law requires immersion setting. Entry and exit are determined slowly. Oh, I'm sorry. The next one would be structure. So that first one was structured English immersion classroom content. The second one is SEI classroom entry and exit. The entry and exit are determined solely by the Azalea score. Students whose Azalea composite proficient level scores are pre-emergent, emergent, basic, or intermediate shall be grouped in SEL classrooms. Arizona Language Development Approach. So this is their approach and a graph as a whole. All educators share the responsibility of promoting the success of English learners. Surrounding that, it's assessed based on behavior and expectations, assessment monitoring and feedback, integrated instruction, disciplinary language and content, and targeted explicit language instruction. All around forms a student agency. Synthesis of research. The research is focused on teaching methods and reading and comparing form when teaching the child to read in their language and teaching them only to read in English. Student agency importance is to provide choices and open-ended opportunities, encourage independent learning by teaching strategies for learning language, and to create learning environments that inspire motivation and engagement with language and content. So these are there's like 4 models that Arizona uses. It's the pull-out model, the 2-hour model, the newcomer model, and the 50-50 DLI model. So all these, first principle, assess base behaviors and expectation. Second principle, integrated instruction, disciplinary language and content. Third, targeted and explicit language instruction. And then the fourth, assessment, monitoring, and feedback. The pull-out model, which is the first one we're going to discuss, is when an ELL student is pulled out for part of the day in order to receive services. The 2-hour model is when the student has a dedicated 2-hour intensive language instruction, and then they go have their normal class the rest of the day. The newcomer model is when they get to spend in elementary, it's 120 minutes a day, which rounds up to 600 hours a week, or in secondary, it would be 100 minutes a day, which would be 500 hours or 500 minutes a week. Sorry, not hours. Focus on language instruction with an integrated setting. This is mainly for children who are new to the U.S. or to the state. The 50-50 DLI model, which is when 50% of the class is in English and 50% is in their native language, but parents must sign off in order for the child to be able to be in this model of learning. Here is all my references. You can feel free to go look at those. I want to thank you for joining me and have a wonderful day.